Hi, my name is Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses with SuccessfulBlackWoman.com. This is my good friend Shaquita Graham with LovingTheBlackMan.com and Ateco.com. How are you doing today, Shaquita?
Great. How are you, Noma?
I have no complaints. Our topic today is about a book that you shared it with me because it was very interesting, and it's right up there with the conversations that we like to have. It's from Interracial.com, and it's about a counter-racist book called Black Love is a Revolutionary Act. Can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Sure. Now this author, she really starts to go in depth about why there seems to be this gender war between Black males and Black females. And I've heard people over and over again talk about how it just seems like we as Black men and Black women are just like at each other's throats all the time, even though we know that most Black people are married to another Black person. At the same time, we see in our comments and different things like that, Black love really is a revolutionary act. She talks about there being a secret war that's been waged against Black men, Black women, and the Black family for 500 years. Her book goes into, and I haven't read the book, I am going to get the book though. It says it includes what are Black gender wars, the 13 recipes for gender wars, interracial con game, 6 reasons Black females are degraded, 6 reasons Black males are demonized, the blame game, and more. So I thought it was interesting to kind of talk about.
I went to the site and looked at what the book talks about. And it talks about, there's a list here. It says it includes what are Black gender wars, the 13 recipes for Black gender wars. In other words, they're kind of going through how it was created, this gender war was created. The interracial con game,
right?
Post-traumatic slavery syndrome, Willie Lynch notwithstanding. Then it has 6 reasons Black females are degraded, 6 reasons Black males are demonized. Then it has the blame game, and then it says, what if whites had no power over Blacks? And then it says, and much more. The one thing that I want to bring up is, because I've had this conversation on this channel before, is talk about interracial dating and marriage. One of the things that I've said about it, and I just won't say anything different, is I personally I just don't want to get into whether people should do it or not. What I have a problem with is when a person does it specifically and deliberately with the thought and the intention of, if you're a white man, if you're a Black woman and you say all the Black men are a species or a kind that I don't want to deal with, and I'm going to go here because a white man is better, or a man other than a Black man is better. And it works the other way around, where if you're a Black man, you decide that you've given up completely on Black women because you think so little of them that you go and date anybody but a Black woman. Other than that, I don't have as strong an opinion, I imagine, as you do, and I've known other Black people who have much stronger opinions about interracial dating and marrying. And part of the reason is, I'm Black, clearly, and so is my husband, clearly, but I was born and raised in Botswana, and my husband was born and raised here in America. And I've heard rumblings over the years. We've been married for over 11 years now. I've heard rumblings before where people would say, well, did you think an African man was not good enough for you? Is that why you had to go get an American? And of course, that was not my thought process. That's just the person who met what I wanted in a man. He was exactly what I wanted in a man, and it turns out I was what he wanted in a woman. So that's why I say that.
Well, I mean, I really didn't intend to talk about the interracial thing because it's just a tired subject to me. But this is why I love Frances Cress Welsing, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, who recently passed, is because she made it very clear that 9/10 of the planet is of color, and that white supremacists have made it very clear that when we connect with any other person, whether that person is of color or not of color, our genes dominate. And that is why white supremacists say we do not want race mixing, or they call it miscegenation, or whatever they call it. They're just saying we want to stay white, is what they're saying. So this does play into a white supremacist plan, interracial dating and marriage. So that's just the bottom line on that. I mean, there's other things that happen. People veil their motivations in a lot of excuses, when the ultimate motivation is to erase their genetic code. We've seen Black women over the centuries say, you know what? Black families even say, don't marry anyone darker than you. Why? Because we want to erase the genetic code of darkness. We want to erase that beautiful melanin feature that God brought us here with, and we don't understand the value of it, and we have a hatred for it. So that is the core of interracial dating.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say that all of those thoughts are really rooted in one thing, which is a belief that there's something inferior about Blackness or being Black. But to move on more with the topic, the other tabs were, what are the Black gender wars, and the 6 reasons Black females are degraded, the 6 reasons Black males are demonized. And one of the things that, again, stood out to me is the demonization of Black men. And I see it now playing out in the news. I don't even watch the news, but I'm still affected by it. You see a lot of times where when there's a conversation going on about a Black man or a Black boy that has died, the conversation that comes up after that is very, very negative. A good example is we were just having a conversation about George Zimmerman, where he recently had an interview, and he said that he feels like Trayvon Martin wouldn't have died if his parents had raised him better. So obviously he's saying that there's something that they did wrong, and something is wrong with a Black male. And, obviously the next thought is that he deserves to die. But where I'm going with that is I'm saying that what happens is you have to demonize a person in order for it to be acceptable in society for them to be killed and mistreated. And the same thing goes with Black women being degraded. You have to do that to them. And again, another example that I've seen recently was there was a meme being passed around, and the title of it was, "Let's Make the First Lady Great Again." And it showed Michelle Obama looking bulky and muscular with a bulging crotch, and an ugly, mean face on her face. And then a beautiful Melania Trump, who's Donald Trump's third wife. She's looking all pageant ready, and of course they're saying that's how we're going to restore America's greatness, by making
Did she come on a bikini or something in the back of a limousine? It looked like she was about to do a
porn movie. Yeah,
escort move or something.
Right. But of course that's not the image that they put up. They put and it was caricatures, but they put up her in a nice long dress. She looked like a pageant queen, really. And she was smiling, and she looked pleasant and graceful, while Michelle Obama looked angry and discontented. And she had these big bulging muscles. And of course, they were trying to imply that she's somehow manly or masculine and unpleasant. And again, that's degrading. And the thing is, if you do that enough, I believe that it becomes normalized. And then when you do something horrible to a person who's been degraded or made to look that bad, people don't react the way that they should.
Well, this is why we come to the title. Black love is a revolutionary act. When these people put every single thought and plan and strategy into keeping Black people apart, for us to decide to love one another regardless is a revolutionary act. Right. For us to decide to procreate and continue to shed the Blackness on this earth as God intended, that is a revolutionary act. And I love the way that this author framed the dilemma, because it's kind of about a situation. She frames it in a metaphor about a husband and a wife, how they met and fell in love, and how one day a burglar came into their home and raped the wife in front of the husband. And threatened to kill both of them if anyone moved. So he had to sit there and watch his wife be raped, and she had to sit there and watch her husband not be able to do anything and be powerless. And then in this book, they begin to resent one another and have these negative thoughts about one another because of the emotional trauma. And I do think that at the core of some of the gender war that happens in the Black community are these this residue as a result of us all being abused in front of one another, and many times in collusion with one another. And I think that we need to start to get down to the bottom of that. And I know for me, like when you talk about a marriage relationship or a relationship in general, one thing when I had to really focus on making my relationship better or the best that it can be, is I had to focus on forgiving and forgetting. You know, it's like we will hold the hardest grudge against one another. We will say the vilest and meanest things against one another, which we do in real relationships in marriage, not just only as a collective. And, you know, for my marriage to survive and to thrive, I had to say, you know what, we're going to just forgive and forget. I'm going to clean the slate. And then the next thing I'm going to do is be accountable for myself. And then the other thing I'm going to do is look upon my husband with gentleness and tenderness and be merciful to him. Because many times, like you said, these images pervade our minds. And we really believe, well, the Black woman, she is a hoe, really, when you come to think about it. And the Black man, he really is whatever, you know, and we project these images that people have placed on us through propaganda onto one another. And that's what needs to stop for us to become victorious.
Thank you, Shaquita, for really bringing it all together, because the truth is, even me, you know, as a wife, I can't love a man that I'm demonizing, or if I'm agreeing with that image of him being demonized. And he cannot love a woman that he is degrading or agrees with that image, whether that she's a hoe and she's useless and she's a, you know, I'm not even going to get into all the stuff that I've heard. You can't do that. That is called double-mindedness, and it doesn't work. So you either choose to embrace a different set of ideas and thoughts and realities about the men in your life and in your community, and the women in your life and your community, or you choose to agree with this machine that is still going very, very strong, that is degrading and dehumanizing us. And it's reflected in relationships. If you're having good relationships, meeting good men and good women and seeing the good in them, then it suggests that you're not jumping onto that bandwagon. But if, however, you're having all these horrible back and forth, negative interactions, negative thoughts, then it suggests that you are jumping onto that negative bandwagon, and that'll never work. I see you're a little frozen there, Shaquita. I'll just close up. I think that we've had a bad internet connection, but I don't want to give up what we've already discussed and not finish the conversation. I want to thank Shaquita, even though she's gone, for joining me in another great conversation. My name is Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses with SuccessfulBlackWoman.com, and I was with Shaquita Graham with LovingTheBlackMan.com. Take care.